Okay, Jamie, what made you decide to make a second album after all this time?
I mean, I was always doing it,
Hmm.
kind of ever since I finished the last one, but I didn't have any real reason to make another album. Um, I was just making lots of music and searching for something that felt right, and it just took this long.
Okay, okay. When did you decide to start this album, and what was the initial idea of it?
I think when COVID happened, I just finished a tour and I got to go home, and I had been away basically on tour since I was a teenager, and I got the chance to sit and be still and reflect on my life and like learn how to be a normal adult and take care of myself. And after some time, I really had the urge to want to make music again instead of having to do it as a job. And I really loved it again, and I really enjoyed just the process of making it. And that's kind of where this album started.
Okay, okay, cool. How did you come up with the order of the songs in this album?
It took a very long time. It's the longest I spent making a track list because it was done over such a long period of time. I guess it was more difficult for me to work it out, and also I wanted it to sound more like one of my DJ sets since I've been playing so much and playing these songs out so much. I ended up playing it to a few people. Fortet was one of them, and he really helped. He kind of turned it upside down, and that was one of the key things to making the track list work.
Jamie, can we please talk about Robin and the best song of the year, please?
Yeah.
Um, how did you come up with this collaboration? And I know that you guys met for a long time.
Yeah, I've been working with her for a few years already. I was working on some of her music, and we'd spent time just hanging out. And she's awesome, super inspiring, has a lot of great knowledge about just work and life and being a musician. And when I made that piece of music, I knew that it needed someone who was as good as the song, basically, to match it. And I knew she could pull it off. And she did it in a couple of days. It was amazing.
Yeah, totally. It paid off, right?
Mm.
Jamie, what would you say makes the perfect mix? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I like to take just one element from the original song and make something completely new, because that's just what's fun for me. And it's a nice way for me to sort of take the weight off of my head, because it's not about me entirely. It's a good creative process.
Okay, okay, awesome. Jamie, what would you say to people that still looks down on sampling?
I mean, all music is subjective.
Yeah.
I learned to make music by sampling. I learned to make music because I was listening to people like the Avalanches, and there wasn't YouTube tutorials or anything like that back when I was learning. I just learned by listening. And the music that I listened to was soul music, and that was also the music that happened to be sampled by lots of hip hop and those sorts of things. So it was all very natural for me. And I think if you're good at sampling, you can make something totally new.
Jimmy, what do you think? What defines the music that is being made today?
Well, it's so eclectic these days. There's so much out there, and everybody listens to everything. Whereas when I was growing up, it felt like everybody sort of had their one thing and their tribe. Now it's a bit more difficult for me to understand. just even in the way that streaming works, it promotes that style of listening. I really wanted to make this album feel like an album because that's how I love listening to music. And I think it's the art of making an album is definitely being lost at the moment, especially with all these big pop artists making 2.5 hour long albums, which are just to promote their streaming. There's something to be said for making something perfect for somebody to listen to exactly the way you wanted them to listen to it.
Jamie, what do you love about the London music scene today?
I think what I've always loved, London's such a culture clash. You're living side by side with every culture, and it makes for amazing collaboration, even without people realizing. You just have all of this different material, different sounds constantly all around you, and it all bleeds into the scene. And people know how to have a good time here as well.
Jamie, can we expect the XX reunion?
Yeah, it's happening.
Okay.
Sometime.
Sometime. In a near future or a long distant future?
Well, we've started to write music together again.
Yeah.
Which has been really nice, but I have no idea how long it's going to take. I mean, this album took a long time, so who knows?
Yeah. Jamie, would you say you have some kind of connection with Latin American music right now?
Yeah, definitely. So much exciting stuff coming out of Latin America, and like loads of UK producers sampling Latin American vocals, and it's very prominent in the dance floors in the UK and in Europe, and then, like the new breaky stuff. It's awesome, and yeah, I also like listen to lots of Latin American music from the 60s and 70s, which I just love. Some of those vocal harmonies are just so beautiful, and I think the fact that I don't understand the language kind of adds to the beauty to it for me.
One last question. What message would you like to give with this album?
People can read into it what they will. There's some tracks that can be taken very seriously, but at the same time, I think can be quite fun if listened to in the right way. There's some of the spoken word is quite relevant to me into how I see the world, but I also don't want to preach, and I don't want to say too much. I want people to have their own opinion.